Hello, movie lovers. I'm Adam. This is Does It Hold Up Box Office Edition, where we talk about the top 10 movies over the last weekend and a few other things. Just a good time here on a Tuesday. We do it every single week, so if you like this show, subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff, and come back every Tuesday to see the next one. We're going to get right into the numbers. Top 10 movies from this past weekend were... The number one movie this past weekend was Smile 2 in its debut weekend, making just over $23 million. That's a pretty good opening, except when you compare it to Smile 1, which opened up to $22.6 million. Usually sequels off of a successful movie will debut higher, usually a lot higher than the original movie, so only opening up to 23 says quite a bit. I went and saw the movie this past weekend, and I gotta tell ya, I understand why it only opened to 23 million. The first one had a really great concept, a really grounded story. I know it's fantastical and all that, but it never got too big for itself. This one just felt like maybe it got a little ahead of itself. It jumped the shark a little too early. So 23 million, not bad. Be very interested to see how much it's going to hold up next week. In second place is The Wild Robot yet again, with about 10,100,000, 28% drop from last week, holds pretty strong, and it's made $101.7 million domestically so far through 4 weeks. And there's a big reason why this movie has made so much money. And it's not because the movie's amazing. It's because the next movie on our list, Terrifier 3 in its second weekend, makes $9.3 million, a 51% drop, so a strong hold for a horror movie. $36.2 million here domestically overall, but that number should probably be a lot higher. There are many reports coming out from theaters across the entire country saying that people under the age of 17 who can't go see R-rated movies by themselves are buying tickets to The Wild Robot only to then sneak into Terrifier 3. I don't condone doing that, but we've all been there, right? Of course we have. So if you actually took all those numbers, Terrifier 3 would probably be a lot higher and The Wild Robot would probably be a lot lower, but we can only go with what we're given. In fourth place is Beetlejuice with another $5 million in its seventh week, a 32% drop. $283.9 million already. Can it reach 300 million? We're going to watch and find out. In fifth place is a new movie to the list, but not a new movie to theaters. We Live in Time, the new movie starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. I know a few people who absolutely love both of them, so this is probably a movie I'm going to be checking out sooner rather than later. It made $4.1 million this past weekend. An increase of 1,700% because, it was only in like 8 theaters last weekend. It gained 980 theaters. It's made $4.5 million overall. In sixth place is the abysmal failure of The Fall, Joker Folie à Deux in its third week, falls another 69% with only $2.1 million. It's barely crossed 56 million in 3 weeks at the box office. In seventh place in its second weekend is Piece by Piece, which will probably be gone next weekend. $2 million, 47% drop, has only made $7.5 million here domestically so far, which is crazy because it has about an $18 million budget plus marketing, so feels like the studio is going to take a big hit on this one. In its fifth week, Transformers 1 comes out in 8th place with just under $2 million, 47% drop, and it's at $56.6 million. In 9th place is Saturday Night Live in its 4th week, a 50% drop after going wide last weekend. It made $1.7 million for a grand total here domestically of $7.5 million. Rounding out the top 10 in its second week of this re-release is The Nightmare Before Christmas with another $1.2 million, a 49% drop, $92.5 million since 1993 when it first came out, inching ever closer to that glorious $100 million box office haul. A couple movies came into the top 10 this past weekend, so that means a couple movies had to have fallen out. There's just 2, both of them were after just 1 week. They are My Hero Academia, the movie You're Next, and The Apprentice, the story of Donald Trump. Yes, that was a movie. Nobody went and saw it. Right now, we take a look at the weekend-to-weekend comparison chart, where we look at each weekend in 2023 and 2024 to see which one came out on top. Because as I say here on the show, can't know where we're going if we don't know where we have been. So did 2024 beat 2023 this past weekend? Sadly, for the second weekend in a row, the answer is no. After 5 solid weeks of being on top, 2024 is starting to fall even farther behind. Last year, on the 42nd weekend of the year, all the movies in 2023 released made $84 million. It was led by the second weekend of Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour, which made way more money than anybody was really expecting. And this year, Smile 2 opens up decently, but can only lead the way for all movies, making $67.7 million, dropping a lot faster than probably a lot of studios and theaters would like. But there are some big hitting movies still to come, sort of, so we'll see if we can make that up at the end of the year. Speaking of the end of the year, what movie is going to be the #1 movie when we look back at 2024? It's really not that much of a surprise if you've been paying attention to the charts week to week, or you follow the box office on your own, or if I'm lucky enough that you've watched this show every Tuesday when it comes out. But Inside Out 2 is still the #1 movie of 2024 with just under $653 million. Deadpool and Wolverine is still playing in theaters, but it's slowing down every single weekend. It's at $636.3 million in second place. It's not going to catch Inside Out 2, but it was a fun ride while it lasted. Despicable Me 4 with $361 million still in third place. Beetlejuice jumps up to 4th place here with that $283.9 million, just about 284, which knocks down Dune Part 2 to 5th place with that $282 million. Twisters is in 6th with $267.7 million, followed by the same 4 movies that I feel like have been there for many, many weeks. Godzilla Kong with $196 million, Kung Fu Panda 4 in 8th with $193.6, Bad Boys Ride or Die in 9th with $193.57, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes still rounding out this strong top 10 with $171 million. That's it for all the charts from the past weekend and the year so far in box office. Hope you enjoyed that, but we always end the show with something a little more fun. We take a look at a movie from the past to see how well it did in theaters upon its initial release. So, this week, over on our podcast, the Does It Hold Up podcast, if you're interested, you can listen to it anywhere you podcasts are available. It's a good time. We go back and we discuss movies from the past that my partner has never seen to see if they still hold up here in 2024. It's a lot of fun. And this past this week, we covered The Blair Witch Project. So I thought, why not go back and look at the box office for it as well? Blair Witch Project had a budget of only $600,000, which originally was about $75,000 until studios got involved and ballooned that right up with changing up the post-production a little bit. Then the studios took it a step farther and spent $20 million on marketing. If you remember in 1999, this had a massive marketing campaign where the actors and actress were missing, presumed dead. Like, it was a whole thing. What's real? What's not real? They're taking out print ads saying that these people are missing. They're making a pseudo documentary, which if you've never seen it, it's actually really good. Go check it out. About these missing kids leading up to the release of this movie, this found footage genre of kids in the woods. That's it. That's the entire movie. But the marketing around it made it seem like so much more. Domestic week 1, the movie only made $3 million as it was slowly released across the country. It did not have a wide release in week 1. Studios kept 60% of that, so $1.8 million. Domestic week 2, it made another $3.8 million as it spread a little bit more. Studios got 55% of that, so $2.1 million. Domestic week 3 plus, the rest of its run, it brought in a very impressive $133.6 million. Studios get to keep about 50% of that, so $66.8 million. And then internationally, the movie did really well, $107.7 million. Studios only get 40% of gross overseas, which means they got to walk away with $43.1 million. Total gross for the movie was somewhere around $248.3 million. After the studios took all of their money from it, the movie netted about $113.8 million, minus the $600,000 for budget and the $20 million for the impressive marketing campaign. The Blair Witch Project had an estimated theatrical profit of $93.2 million. So if you ever wonder why studios constantly, and I guess not as much anymore, but they used to, put out these really low budget films all the time, because they were hoping for one of these. Make it for $5 million, it makes $240 million worldwide. You walk away with a tidy sum in your pocket. That's why studios keep doing it. Jason Blum is notorious for it. Blumhouse, this is their entire gimmick. This is what they do. This is their business plan. Make small budget films and hope at least one of them skyrockets and just takes off and makes all the money, because everybody gets to be happy then. So if you ever see a small budget movie, go out, watch it, enjoy it, and hopefully help some of these people continue to make these low budget films. All right, that's it for me this week, talking about box office numbers and flashing back to a movie from 1999. Let me know in the comments below any of your thoughts about what happened this weekend at theaters, or what you think about the Blair Witch Project, because I'm not so sure it's as good as I remember. And if you want to know more, go listen to the podcast. Does It Hold Up? I'll be back again on Friday with another episode of redoing the Oscars. We're going to the year 2005, so come back for that. And I'll be back again on next Tuesday with another box office roundup. Until then, be good to yourself, be kind to others, and keep watching movies.